Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamey Daddy channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about basically my opinions and my thoughts on the disappointment on the Division 2 in the community, and pretty much some of the psyche with which I approach the Division game. And I guess it might help explain why sometimes I'm actually more positive or seeming a little bit tone deaf. It's not like I want to be tone deaf. It's just, I've also been on the receiving end of some of the hard realities of disappointing games, and I've let them affect me a lot. So I think this is something that might be, I would say in a sense, eye-opening for a lot of people who watch my content. So let's just get into the video. So a content creator asked me yesterday. I commented on can't remember. I think it was one of my audience members that comments here on my channel. He commented on another video, and so I replied that comment. And the content creator asked me and said, "How do you stay positive? I can't deal with this. This game is super disappointing and all that." And I thought to myself, I said, that's really interesting. Because there's kind of the sentiment right now going on in the community where, you have people making videos of how they owned YouTubers in the dark zone. And, but when you look at their comment sections, people are saying, yo, it's just a game, man. Just take it easy. It's just, make build videos, make fun stuff. But all of this, I own this person videos. They don't add anything to the community. And I think I do take that approach. Yes. But also, I've also been on the extreme end of actually having allowed for video games that have disappointed me to have a big, huge effect on me. There's a story I told on YouTube one time. I think I told it a few years ago. And it's a story where a video game made me break my own TV screen. And my children were there. In fact, they were old enough to, I don't know if they remember it, but they saw it. They saw something that no dad would want their kid to see. It wasn't something crazy. It wasn't something I really intended, but it was a mistake born out of an extreme dissatisfaction from something. I was playing FIFA with a friend of mine. I wasn't even playing in the online leagues. Y'all that played FIFA, you know how that's trash. But I was playing with a buddy of mine, and you could tell that, when you're playing your first to threes and whatever it is, sometimes the AI just wants drama. The game wants drama, and so the game will force a loss or a win. And my buddy just scored this goal, and I was not happy, and I just hit my phone, smacked it. The phone rolls out of the side of my couch, bounces on another couch, off of that couch, and hits the TV screen, cracks it. All my kids that were just watching soccer with me, they were enjoying the game. They just looked at me like, wow. One of my kids said, "Daddy broke the TV." And since then, my entire outlook has been, it's just a freaking video game. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean I haven't lost the controller or so since then, but not at least in the presence of, little kids trying to set a good example. So I think one day around 3 a.m. in the morning, having been, playing some Mortal Kombat PvP, one of my controllers all of a sudden decided that he was going to jump really high in the air and land on the ground and dissipate into multiple pieces. I was shocked. I was like, why did it do that? Anyways, that's kind of the approach that I've decided that I'm going to, take on the Division. And it's really helped me a lot. Like, it's really, put me in a place where things I don't like about the Division, I absolutely, in many cases, just ignore them. Big example will be the raid. I hate the Division 2 raids. Cannot stand the fact that they substituted them for incursions. You feel me? I can't stand the fact that they did that. I mean, if they had actually put, incursions and raids, I could have said, okay. But the fact that they substituted them for the incursions really did get under my skin. It really burned. Oh my gosh. PvP players say, oh yeah, I feel the pain, because incursions were my thing. Falcon Lost is one of the best memories for me. Some people say, oh, it's boring, it's repetitive. I like repetition. I like doing the same things over and over again. So 15 waves of just shooting bad guys was the stuff. It really did. I just enjoyed it. Sometimes I go back and watch my Falcon Lost videos of the Division 1. It's crazy, and so that's how I've been able to take the time to approach this game and not allow for myself to be disappointed, because I know that many times there's a conflict. There's a conflict between good development and publisher need to want to just focus on the bottom line. Destiny 2 right now, I've been listening to my favorite, I think he's now my favorite. MTash used to be my favorite, but I haven't had any chance to just watch his content. It hasn't shown up on the algorithm, but I've been listening to Astacross, and man, I like the way he basically just talks about the game. He basically puts the game, he talks about the things about the game in a perspective that I can get and understand. And he's not happy, and many others aren't happy. I was listening to a video by, my name is Bife or so the other day. And Destiny has had its challenges as well. I'm not like gloating. I mean, something in me wants to gloat, but I realize that a lot of our community also plays Destiny, so I can't disrespect Destiny. And so what are we going to do? I mean, sure, Fei Lao didn't get a cutscene, but is that going to spoil the entire game? Is that going to spoil the entire, amount of things that we like in the Division? Not for me, not for me anyways. And I can understand, because this thing is a phase. You would have to literally lose, a few controllers and probably a few gaming devices to finally kind of get to the point where you're like, you know what? I'm not even going to bother with this. And that is okay. It's okay if you're in that place where, you just really enjoy the game and it just doesn't pan out. And then another thing that I wanted to basically point out, which I feel like, it will probably be termed as in defense of the devs part 27, which at risk of that's fine. I mean, I'm not necessarily concerned, how that's going to be perceived. But, it's one of those things where last year everybody was affected by, the COVID restrictions and, COVID and everything itself. And, for those of us who, in some cases still had to do our jobs regardless, we, in a sense, share very little sympathy that the developers also had to do their job as well. I mean, but you were expected to do your job in a very, in a much, I would say in some sense, tighter accountability aspect where you actually feel the developers have not done a good job. At the end of the day, you think about it, we haven't walked in their shoes. We can appreciate the work that they do, but we have never necessarily, gotten to experience what they experience. Truckers had to still deliver groceries regardless of, Warlords of New York being broken or not. The grocery store worker had to still be there checking us out, and basically just, risking it. While some of us had the opportunity to work from home and then do pickup, whereas, Walmart pickup, they'll bring the stuff to your car and everything, and you had that convenience, count yourself lucky, but not everybody had those opportunities. And when we think about it, it really did affect everybody in one way or the other. And so I'm of the mind that, the developers also probably in a sense need the benefit of the doubt because publishers have to focus on that bottom line. And that's what really hurts, in many cases, development. This Codename Nightmare event could have just been delayed, but I think this is one of those, we got to get it out the table regardless. So what we have here is a brownie that's, that looks done on the outside, but inside is still mushy. That's basically this Fei Lao thing. It's one of those things where, you just kind of eat the outsides and then maybe you took a bite and you're like, oh, come on now. This thing could have stayed in the oven for a little bit longer. And yes, probably right. But at the end of the day, that cutscene issue that, we've been basically seeing surface in the community, like, oh, this felt like lazy content and all of that stuff. Do you really think, though, that these developers are, in quote, lazy? Do you really think they wanted to give you half-baked content? Think about the cost of what you paid for Warlords of New York and 4 seasons. I didn't buy the season primers past the first one, so I paid only a max of about $40 for basically a whole year of content, new expansion, all that stuff, exotics, and all the other stuff that comes with the legendary missions, and at least a few more 100 hours of playtime. So if I spend 100 hours playing, $30 or $40 worth of content, I think I've gotten my time. I think I've gotten my run on this. And it's something that's at risk of, many of us as agents getting sucked into these RPG looter shooters that basically allow for us to only no-life them, and we don't play other games. And so once we finally max out at 200-300 hours, we start seeing everything under a microscope. And it took a while to be able to get to the point where, I just didn't let these things bother me. So at the end of the day, how is gaming going to get better? To be very honest, I think the only way gaming is going to get better is if more competition continues to come into the place and things continue to tighten up. Who's going to compete? I believe gamers have the capability to do so. They understand gaming. A lot of devs have been in the industry for multiple decades, so many of them haven't necessarily sat in a Discord server and just talked to regular gamers in years. So our perspectives are actually very, very grounded and solid. And I feel like we're probably in the better place to be able to change these things, but the only way we can do it is by putting up, So far, we're just letting the game developers just continue to run the show and continue doing what it is that they want. Not necessarily the game developers, but, publishers to continue to drive the game developers to make games in ways that don't satisfy gamers. I guess that's what I should have said. And so when I kind of think about it, it comes down to, it's just a game. It sounds tone deaf, but it is a game. And I understand the disappointment. I've been there. Like I said, I mentioned those beginning of this game. I quit FIFA. I think the last time I touched FIFA, a buddy of mine was visiting, and I downloaded an old version or so, and we played. But that's it. I don't play that game anymore. That game has cost me, that's all I'm going to say. And so I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I mean, if you disagree with me, perfectly fine. That's okay. But talk to me. We'll talk in another video. Peace.